All right, so this year so far, I've had a chance to try out the newest and best active noise canceling headphones. And I'm talking about the Technics A800, the Sony 1000XM5, and the Momentum 4 from Sennheiser, which by the way has the best name amongst these. And all three of these headphones promise that they've been built to last, that they're high quality, that they're highly comfortable, that they sound amazing, and that they have the best active noise canceling. But we don't want to take their words for it, right? We have to try them out ourselves. Each person has a different taste, and the quality of the sound they're looking for is different. Our heads are slightly different in shape, and we're all very unique, which makes it hard to recommend one brand over the other. But hopefully by the end of this video, you will have made up your mind as to which one might be the right choice for you. So be sure to let me know in the comments which one you end up going for. So why don't we start with the better naming product, the Sennheiser Momentum 4, which is still fresh and hot out of the oven as they just got released recently, and then we'll mix up and compare everything. So prior to Momentum 4, Sennheiser headphones always had their own unique and signature look, and some of you guys told me in the previous video that you miss that kind of old design. But according to Sennheiser this time around, they chose function over design. And if you guys told me that they were inspired by the look of the Sony 1000XM5, I wouldn't say you were wrong. And if you also told me that they were inspired by the look of the Technics headphones, again, I wouldn't disagree with you. But what both the Sony and Sennheiser headphones have in common is that they're not foldable, and that's why their cases are much bigger than the case of the Technics headphones, which can indeed be folded and save space. And that's funny because the Technics are technically the biggest and heaviest amongst these three, and yet because they're foldable, when carrying around with the case, they have the smallest footprint. One thing I really like about the Momentum 4 headphones is their wide headband. When dealing with comfort, having a nicely padded and wide enough headband to distribute the pressure evenly is really crucial, and both the Technics and Sennheiser headphones have this characteristic. And I've been wearing the Technics A800 headphones every day since the day they came out, basically earlier this year, and I'm really happy with the comfort of the headband, but the top of my head could still get fatigued sometimes. And this is interesting because the headband of the Technics headphones feel fuller to my touch than the Sennheisers, which feels almost hollow, and yet I haven't had any discomfort with the Sennheiser headphones on the top of my head when wearing them all day long. The Sonys, I almost forgot about them. Not a big fan of the overly narrow headband. The padding is great though, to be fair, but I don't think it can distribute the pressure as good as the other two headphones. And that super narrow headband makes the headphones a little too flexible and flimsy. That takes away some of the premium feel from it. One of my favorite features of the Technics headphones is that when you adjust the size of them, there are these levels that take away some of the guesswork when trying to find your size. The other two headphones, telescopic adjustment, have no predefined levels, which means if you don't know the size or your size by heart, you're gonna need to put them on and then adjust them. But with the Technics, you don't need to. Just a minor thing that I really appreciate about the Technics headphones. And another thing that I think the Technics do better is the ear cups and ear pads. So all three headphones have great ear pads. The padding is comfortable on all three, but the Technics have the fullest and widest and most comfortable ear pads. Also, if you wear glasses, I found the Technics and to some extent Sennheiser headphones more comfortable than the Sony headphones. The Sony's ear pads are not wide enough, and when you wear glasses, they'll be essentially resting against this hard surface and not really absorbed into the ear pads. But hey, have a look at the Momentum 4 ear pads. Do you see these white stains? I'm so surprised to see this. I've never had any stains on any of the headphones, even slightly. I do know that I sweat a fair bit more when I wear these because the ear cup's hole is smaller than the other headphones, but it's not that bad, and everybody sweats a tiny bit when they wear headphones for long. But these, I don't know. This is not a good sign. That doesn't speak quality to me. And then lastly, the Technics ear cups have the best tilt adjustment. The Sennheiser ear cups are almost as good as the Technics, but the Sonys are the worst. But in terms of the clamping force, I think all three are top notch. And to sum up the comfort, overall the Technics is my #1 pick, then Sennheiser, and then if I didn't have any other options, the Sonys. And this is obviously a personal pick based on what's comfortable on my head. So if you do have the Sonys and they're comfortable for you, I'm really glad to hear it because I have nothing against the brand. Although if you have a big head and big ears, then I definitely recommend the Technics and then Sony, but not Sennheiser. But if you try out the ANC, the Sony headphones, hands down amazing, like they're scary good. And if I remember correctly, with the new headphones, they now have 2 active noise cancelling chips. I guess I should watch my own videos from before to refresh my memory. But basically, as far as I know, the other 2 guys only have 1 chip. And something you might want to know is that whether or not any of these headphones produce some kind of white noise when you turn on the ANC, which is, by the way, an absolutely normal thing. But with the Sonys, I've never heard that noise. And with the Sennheiser headphones, also if you turn on the adaptive ANC, which is on by default, it's pure silence. But if you turn off the adaptive noise cancelling and just use the ANC normally, then you're gonna hear that humming noise. You will also hear that noise with the Technics, I'm afraid. But again, if I had to pick them based on the ANC feature and its quality, I'd go with the Sony, Technics, and then Sennheiser in this order. Even though the Sennheiser with the adaptive ANC doesn't produce a noise, based on the tests that I've done, the quality of the ANC that you'd get with the Technics headphones is still much better than the Sennheisers. But what about the battery life? I mean, we should have addressed the elephant in the room right in the beginning, right? You might think that the Sennheiser headphones are the first to have 60 hours of battery life with the ANC on. Well, in that case, I should tell you that the Technics were actually the first to have such an amazing battery life, that is 60 hours. The Sonys, well, they're still offering only 30 hours. Not good. But I have this question for myself, why 30 hours, just like their previous model? Why not even try to get 40 hours? And my theory is that maybe the dual chips that now they use to achieve that kind of amazing noise cancellation has something to do with this. Probably a silly theory, but still just something to think about. But the funny thing is that the Sony headphones that offer the least amount of battery life take 3.5 hours to fully charge. The Technics take 3 hours that provide double the amount of battery life, and the Sennheisers with the same amount of battery life as the Technics only take 2 hours. What? But anyways, here's something I really like about the Momentum 4, and that's the fact that pretty much everything is touch controlled. You can even adjust the level of noise cancelling and transparency mode by basically pinching and stretching, which is a really clever design. The Sony headphones have a lot of touch controls too, but there is a noise cancelling and ambient mode button, and the Technics have physical buttons for everything except the ANC and ambient controls, which are touch controlled. And I think the Sennheiser touch controls are very accurate, and the Technics have the most sensitive touch controls, because I always accidentally activate or deactivate something, and I reckon the Sonys sit in between, but they have something the other two don't, and that's the speak to chat feature and the ability to cover one or the right ear cup to turn on the ambient mode on the spot and speak with others and hear them clearly. And here's the small thing that has kind of become annoying with the Technics headphones. Well, actually two things. One is that all the controls, including the touch controls, have such a slow response time, meaning when I double tap to activate the ANC or ambient mode, it's slower than the other two headphones. And I think partly this is because when you change the modes, there's this voice prompt for everything that's honestly really annoying to hear, because sometimes somebody approaches you and you want to activate the ambient mode, and let's say now the ANC and ambient modes are off, so first you double tap to turn on the ANC and then you double tap again to turn on the ambient mode. That means you'd have to wait for the voice prompt to announce these two activations before you hear the ambient sound.
Noise cancelling. Ambient sound.
So because of that, most of the time I just take off the headphones because it's faster. But both the Sony and Sennheiser headphones just have other sound prompts in the form of a beep, and it differs depending on what you do, but you get used to it after a while, and it's really fast. Another annoying thing is that sometimes when I want to turn on the headphones, if I press and hold the power button more than 2 seconds, which is how long it takes to turn them on, by the time I let go of the power button, they turn off instead of turning on. So that means during the time I'm holding the power button, they turn on secretly. And I'm saying secretly because there's no sound that you normally hear when they turn on, and when I let go of the power button, they just turn off instead. Hope you get what I mean, but I've never had this problem with either the Sonys or the Sennheisers. And it wouldn't be a true comparison if I didn't talk about the sound quality. I don't want to make it simple for you guys, but basically the Sonys and the Technics headphones have a very similar sound profile. But in my opinion, the Technics headphones sound way better in the sense that they sound much cleaner and really balanced, and yet with a very strong bass. Although I think the bass is just slightly stronger in the Sony headphones. Now, the Sennheiser headphones, on the other hand, sound way better than the other two. The bass, despite being very punchy and satisfying, is not as strong as the other two, and that alone could actually be why the mids and lower mids sound so much cleaner and clearer. There's so much space and the sound stage is so much better, and that means that depending on what you're listening to, it can make you feel like the singer is singing right next to you. And that sound stage and space is something that you need to hear for yourself. So in my opinion, the vocals sound so much better with the Momentum 4 headphones. After that, the Technics have the most satisfying sound balance. that are great for listening to all genres. And here are a couple things that you'll only see in the Momentum 4 headphones. Number one is the ability to connect them to your PC with a USB-C cable and still use the headphones. So you can charge them with your computer and use them via Bluetooth, which is still connected to your computer, for example, when streaming. You don't have to use the Bluetooth connection and you can just use the USB-C connection, but then you can't use the mic and the sound quality drops. And number two is the 5 charging indicator LEDs. This is a very smart feature, and when they're plugged in, you kind of have an idea of how much charge they have now.
Both of these headphones have 8 microphones and they sound great during calls. They both suppress the background noise very well, but the Sonys have an edge here. You know, the noise canceling is scary good on the Sonys, but still amazing on the Technics. But the Sonys just have to be the winner in this category. I've also tried them both with normal phone calls, WhatsApp, and Teams. What I've noticed is that when there's a lot of background noise, like now, both headphones try really hard to suppress all that, which means it's going to have an effect on your voice quality, as you can hear. So in these situations, try to speak as clearly as possible and maybe speak a bit louder as well. And this is how the Sennheiser Momentum 4 sound like, but I think the Technics headphones suppress the background noise a little more aggressively. But let me know which one you prefer in the comments, and if you end up subscribing to this channel, watch these 2 videos next.